Welcome to the video, guys. We've seen over the last few weeks and months the increase in migrants arriving across the channel in small boats, obviously helped by the UK Border Force, or the UK Taxi Force as it should be called. Well, The Guardian released an article yesterday evening complaining that the Home Office is apparently deporting migrants who cross the channel in small boats. Now, this I don't believe for a second, even if, as this says, there is an operation called Silif that is leading to practices that breach the so-called Dublin Convention, which essentially means we can send back migrants who have been in another EU state, having been fingerprinted or spent some time there, which it shouldn't even require in my opinion. At the end of the day, if you come over here illegally on a small boat, that should instantly end your claim to asylum. The Home Office has launched an initiative to deport migrants who cross the channel from France to the UK in small boats, The Guardian has learned. The initiative, known as Operation Silif, is thought to be in response to rising numbers of people arriving in boats from France. Earlier this month, a record 145 people were picked up after crossing the channel on 8th of May as they headed for the Kent coast. The previous daily record was 102 in February 2020. There were 297 boat crossings by migrants in 2018, 1,890 last year, and at least 1,040 so far this year. And as we get deeper into summer, the numbers are just going to increase. So expect to see at least 2,500, maybe more than 3,000 boats coming in this year alone. And that's just obviously ones they know about. Under current legislation known as the Dublin Convention, one EU country can send an asylum seeker back to another if there is evidence that they were fingerprinted, claimed asylum, or spent time in the first EU country before arriving in the second, which essentially should be any of them, because none of them can come straight from Syria, Iraq, or anywhere else and go straight to the UK without spending at least some time in another European country. Meaning absolutely none of these people should be kept here for more than 5 minutes to fill out any paperwork as per the Dublin Convention. Now, obviously, as it says here, human rights lawyers and campaigners have had a say about this. Imagine my shock. Human rights lawyers and campaigners say that they have gathered evidence that under Operation Silif, migrants are already being returned swiftly to France before their asylum claims can be properly considered. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I would suggest that them coming from France means they've spent time in another European country, and therefore asylum application rejected, job done, we'll see you later. Which, like I've said, I'm very skeptical is actually happening. The Tory government is well known for being very weak on immigration, not just this one, but historically. So I do have a hard time believing it, despite all the bluff and bluster that we heard in the lead up to the election. So far, we haven't seen any of it put into practice. The true test, I think, will be after the transition period ends, when we no longer have to listen to EU law, and it's up to Boris Johnson's Conservative Party to make the decisions. I think that will be the moment the Tories' soft immigration policies will be exposed to the world, but we'll have to wait and see. Lily Parrott, a lawyer at Duncan Lewis Solicitors, who is working on a legal challenge about Operation Silif and the return of asylum seekers to France who arrive in small boats. Well, that's nice of Duncan Lewis Solicitors to sit there and go against what the people of this country want for people who have absolutely no right to be here. How these companies have the audacity to do this is just beyond me. We are increasingly concerned about a trend that we have seen where the Home Office seeks to remove people from the UK to France after they arrived to the UK by boat. That should just be an automatic procedure if they end up here. Obviously, we should preferably catch them before they reach British waters and send them packing the other way swiftly. We feel that this is being done illegally and on the basis of a conflation between the Dublin Convention and a UK-France treaty about border management, Now, from what I know of the Dublin Convention, and the fact that these people have all spent time in a European country, it should be fairly easy to send them straight back. As to whether that is actually happening, which is obviously what this Guardian article claims, is another matter. You can hardly trust the Guardian or the Tory government, let's be honest. This would be an egregious breach of European law that allowed many asylum seekers to be wrongly removed from the UK. Well, I suppose it will depend on whose opinion you're asking as to whether it would be wrongly removed or not. Earlier this month, Home Secretary Priti Patel urged her French counterparts to back a new crackdown to enable the UK to return Channel migrants to France even if they have been found in British waters. Which is how it should have been anyway. A Home Office Freedom of Information response in March 2020, seen by The Guardian, stated that last year 21 people were removed to France under the disputed clause of the Dublin Convention. Wow, a whole 21 people were removed. The Guardian are in complete shitfits. These people are an absolute joke. That should say 100% of people were removed to France under this disputed clause of the Dublin Convention. Immigration will definitely be one of the things that shows the Tories to be weak and incompetent when it comes to issues that really matter. Unfortunately for us, we're kinda stuck with a two-party system that only allows the Tories and Labour to be in government. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Labour definitely would have been worse than the Tories, in my opinion, especially with Magic Grandpa leading the asylum. A further Freedom of Information response from the Home Office refers to Operation Silif, but declines to provide information about the operation on the basis that it would be too costly. An immigration detention centre visitor group has also raised concerns about the practice of returning people to France. The organisation sends visitors to people in the detention centres where some of the migrants have been detained. They expressed concerns about an alarming trend to attempt to remove asylum seekers from the UK to France, even though their fingerprints had not been found in the European-wide database known as Eurodac, and there was no clear evidence that they had spent any significant amount of time in France or claimed asylum there. They said that out of 9 such cases they worked with recently, at least 2 were possible victims of trafficking and 3 were possible victims of torture. One was removed to France by the Home Office where he was subjected to torture and abuse by migrant smugglers. So essentially, The Guardian here is complaining that apparently there is an operation to remove asylum seekers from the country who came by boat. Like I said earlier, I struggle to believe that that is true, but I am hopeful that it is. We've all seen how weak the Tory government and Priti Patel have been in relation to a variety of situations in recent weeks. Like I said though, once we have full control of our laws at the end of the year, we will really see just how hardcore the Tories are going to be on immigration and other matters. So far, it's not looking very good, I'll tell you that much for nothing. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.